Thank you very much for making time to be with us on The Wave, your weekly show on all things money. I'm your host, Miss KK, and on this show, we get to dissect topics related to personal, family, and business finances. Our hope is that by the time you get to the end of the series, you'll be equipped to make better, sound financial decisions. Today, we're going to be touching on a concept that is very, very light to set a tone for the mini series to follow. This is the first episode of mini, and we are very excited to have you. If you are new, welcome, and consider subscribing. If you're already a subscriber, thank you for your support, your views, and your interaction is highly appreciated. Today, we are considering or we are discussing the topic of money leaks. Where is your money going in 2021? Okay, so as I sat down, I realized, okay, we're going to be discussing money leaks in context of a budget. Normally, budgeting has two main concepts. It has your money coming in, which is your inflow, and money going out, which is your outflow. Where does money come in? Obviously, money comes from various sources. It comes from your salary. That could be your, the money that you get from your day-to-day job. Maybe it's an 8 to 5 job or it's a part-time job. Then you may have interest income. Perhaps you have money that is invested in a call account with your bank, or your current account with your bank that earns a particular interest. You may have dividend income if you have some investment in stocks and that company that you've invested in, or the fund that is being invested in has declared some dividend, or maybe you have some sort of profit that you get from a business that you run, or whether on a part-time basis or a full-time basis. So generally, we don't have that much control of the money that comes in, because that is generally determined by the person that is paying you. So for example, again, your salary is likely to be determined in terms of your employment contract. Your interest income is likely to be determined by how much money you have invested in a bank account. Your dividend income is likely to be determined by how much the company that you've invested in has declared as dividend based on the profit that they've made. And lastly, if you have profit, really it's dependent on how much you've sold and the demand of your product. So basically, we don't have that much control, and that money is generally fixed to variable on a monthly basis. Right, then we move into money going out. Money going out, that's where we generally can control a lot, and that's where leaking comes in. Leaking is when you're losing something and it's not your intention to do so. Sometimes you don't know, sometimes you know it, but you're just ignoring the fact that your money is going unintentionally. So with regards to your expenses, really there are also main buckets that you can categorize your expenses. You have your necessity, that is your rent, your rent or your mortgage if you own a house, the car mortgage, or the petrol to get to work, taxi, food, etc. That is your necessity. You may have also long-term savings like a unit trust perhaps that you've invested in that you don't really touch, or a committed investment with your bank, or that deducts off on a monthly basis. Or you may have other savings in terms, or other expenses in terms of insurance. You have other expenses in terms of, what can I think of? Maybe you are putting money aside for fun and traveling. That can also be expenses. So basically, there's a whole bunch of things that we spend our money on. And an average person, just like me, live paycheck to paycheck, such that if our employers don't pay us the next month, we are likely to run into some financial trouble. And for some of us, or for some people out there that have emergency saving, they may be able to survive for 3 months or 6 months, or however long their emergency saving is enabling them to survive. But the moral of the story is, without the income coming in, most of us are likely to run into problem. So what we are discussing here are some of the the things that can leak our money out in terms of our wastage of money that we could be saving to enable us to achieve our future goals. And in the future, in the next episode, we'll be talking about financial goals and how to effectively save for those. So I'm gonna give you 5 tips on where that I see as money leaks personally in 2021, and you can assess yourself whether they are relevant, or you can let me know also in the comment below, where do you think your money is leaking into. So for me, the first thing is black tax, right? Black tax is money that you contribute to extended family, or to even immediate family, that generally is because of the community that we live in. So I've written a long article on black tax, but generally it's just that extended support that people need to give, because family members, family where they come from cannot really afford to take care of themselves, and people that are working now need to send this support at home. Why am I saying that black tax is my number one leak on on money. It's because most of the time people that are asking you money have no considerate with your budget. They don't care that it's short notice, that you didn't budget for it. They expect you to give it when they ask you. Sometimes there's too much expectation from you simply because you drive a certain car, or simply because you work in a particular company, or simply because you have a certain jobs. Your family members or your siblings relatively assume you make a lot of money, and ultimately they keep asking a lot from you. So if you don't actually control how much you give to these people, or you contribute to these type of activities, you are likely to run into problems. This can also range from planned activities such as wedding contribution. Generally in a Black community, weddings are like a collective activity. Everyone chips in, and things like funeral, you are expected to cough up money unexpectedly, and this really can result in your budget going out of proportion. So that's why personally for me, I'm putting Black tax as my number one money leak. We can talk about how to go around avoiding this money leak in a future video, but that is a very hectic topic on its own. Number two, the second money leak for me is shopping without a list. Generally, when we do grocery shopping, we think we know what we need, but when we get into the shop, because we see certain items either that are on sale, or certain items that we generally buy not that often, when we see it, we generally just put a whole bunch of things in our trolley, and by the time we get to the till and we start scanning things, the numbers just go out of proportion. Most of the time, what I generally do personally, I shop my groceries, like my dry foods and my fresh veggies, in one shop, then I go and do my meat and my other things in another shop. So you would find that you've exhausted your full grocery shopping without even buying meat for the month. That's for me. I realized if I go to the shop without a shopping list, I tend to spend a lot. And also, like last month it was really worse. I went to the shop without a shopping list, and I ended up with I didn't even know at home. I have an unopened handy I have an unopened 18 set of toilet papers. I have unopened of the pine gel that you use to mop. All those items, I had bought new ones, but I had unopened items from the previous month. But I also forgot to buy things like kitchen towel that was up, and things like toothpaste that was up. So basically, without going to the shop without a shopping list is a recipe for disaster, and you can spend a lot of money. My third money leak is soft loans, giving money to friends and family with a promise that they will pay you back. Generally, these things are also not budgeted. They will come, no, I have this and I have A, B, and C, and I really need the money. I'll pay you back on the 20th, or I'm expecting money from a 32-day account. I'll give it to you as soon as it lands. You sort of get emotionally blackmailed because of the relationship you have with this person, and you give them money. Come month end, you don't sort of follow up because you feel it's the first month that they owe you. Maybe they are coming through, maybe they're still sorting out a few things. The next thing you hear, no, I really can't make it this month, or they just ghost you. So for me, soft loan, really, sometimes it's really a lot of money that you may have to dip in your savings to help them because they are really in an emergency, but generally they don't respect the terms and condition of the loan, and it can really result in money leaks. I can't tell you how much money I've written off that I've given to friends that have just started ignoring me. So really, for me, I'm putting soft loans to 0.3. And then 4 is hobbies that becomes obsession. So if you have a hobby that becomes an obsession, that can also become a money leak. For me personally, it was gardening. Whenever because I live in the Namib Desert, everything that you need for gardening, you need to buy. The June sand is not ideal for gardening. There are no farms nearby where you can just go and get manure, etc. So it costs quite a lot to set up a garden. And because of the passion that I have for agriculture and for growing food, especially for urban gardening, I sometimes tend to spend quite a little bit of money on plants, like my baby here, or my veggies, etc., etc. So for me, that is my hobby that sometimes becomes an obsession, and I don't mind spending money on that because it gives me pleasure and happiness. But sometimes if you look at the numbers, my dear, you might want to reevaluate your priority. So you need to go and figure out what is your hobby that is wasting you money. And most of the time when we go and talk about side hustles, etc., you must really start capitalizing on some of those hobbies. Maybe if you really know how to garden, you can start giving classes or helping people set up their garden, etc. But that's not what we're talking about here. And lastly, for me, is buying products with promised results. For me, I'm gonna put hair products and health products. Although I don't buy health product because I believe in exercising naturally and running and jogging in the at the beach or whatever the case may be, I don't spend a lot of money on health product. But I do know of a lot of people that spend a lot of money on weight loss products, especially as well as muscle gain products, etc. But for me, it's hair product. At some stage, I used to buy quite a few number of hair products. You'd go and you buy this product, you haven't even used it for 1 month, and then you dump it. Then you go buy another product. Then in your cupboard, you have 8 types of different products that are not even finished, that haven't been used, that you haven't even gotten any effective results out of it. So you need to see what is that thing that you are buying, that you buy so often, that is actually beginning to becoming a money leak. So for me, those are my 5 money leaks. Is black tax. We are going to be talking about how to manage black tax. It is shopping without a list. Yes, recipe for disaster, because you tend to go for things that are on sale. It is soft loan. Trust me, if a person promised to pay you, it's a very rare that they pay back on time. Sometimes they don't pay back at all. You just sometimes end up evaluating whether this loan is worth costing you a friendship, and you just write it off. Hobbies, for me, that is gardening, but for you, it could be fishing, it could be whatever the case may be. And finally, products with promised results. Afro hair is really difficult to grow, and okay, maybe not difficult to grow, but most of us don't know how to handle it with care, and thus we don't get like the desired result. And every time we see, grow your hair this much inches in 3 months, we run for the product. Then we hear lose 8 kg in 1 month, and we run for that product. In the end, we end up wasting so much money without any promised result. So that was about it for today's episode. We were talking about money leaks. You need to go back and evaluate where is your money leaking, and ultimately the aim is for us to find those leaks and hopefully mend them, fix them, fill them up so that they don't leak. It doesn't mean that you mustn't give money as form of black tax. It doesn't mean you mustn't give soft loans. It doesn't mean you mustn't go without a shopping list, but you need to have a quantum or a quantification. I only give 2,500 of black tax. Anything beyond that, I can't give in a particular month, for example. Or I'm only going to be spending 200 on hair products. Anything beyond that, I'm not spending. So basically, that also comes with budgeting. And in the next episode, I'm going to be talking about budgeting, the major components of budgeting, and then we tie that into financial planning. And then we will tie, as we speak about the budgeting, we also start addressing some of this, how to fix some of this money leaks. Thank you so much, and don't forget to subscribe, share with your friends, and bye bye. Stay